Bo, how about the wonderful world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, this is a big one. Starting a business is a pretty exciting thing. I mean, here's what the brochure tells you. It says, you'll never be wealthy. You're never going to be able to reach financial independence. You're never going to be able to have all the things you want financially if you're working for someone else. If you're showing up to a 9 to 5, it's not going to be possible.
By the way, I hate to ruin it because we're going to give you the flaws here, but we have an entire wealth management firm, not all, but a large portion of our clients
W-2 employees.
9 to 5 jobs. So I'll just go ahead and ruin it right there. So let's kind of jump into the flaws, because this is the part, and I love entrepreneurship.
It's amazing.
We resemble this, but it's just a lot of people just don't know what they're getting into. And the stats, if you look at what the Small Business Administration, the SBA, says about this, realize 20% of new businesses fail in the year that they start. If that doesn't scare you, how about the fact that half of businesses fell in the first 5 years, and then typically over a 10-year period, only 35% of those small businesses are actually still in existence a decade in the future. So very quickly you realize some of this reward is built upon that there's extreme risk in this process.
And it's one of those things that just because you have an idea and start a business, it doesn't mean that starting tomorrow you're going to be profitable. Most small businesses take somewhere between 2 to 5 years before they even become profitable. And profitable meaning I have more money coming into my business than I have flowing out of my business. So a lot of folks, because they don't prepare and don't plan, it is difficult to weather that storm of getting there. I mean, that's, Brian, your experience it wasn't something that just took off right overnight.
Yeah, this is something that I think a lot of businesses fail because people don't realize how much capital it's going to take, or cash, to make it through that 3 to 5 year valley that you have to make it through. You really are going through the gauntlet that if you could have the most talent in the world, you could have the passion in the world, but if you ain't got the capital, the cash to actually pay the bills, to cover your living expenses, cover the business as you're building up, trying to build this thing, it will fail. And a lot of that, I think that's why those small business stats are out there, and they show that. For myself, I saved for over a year, built up a large pot of cash, and I used every bit of that cash in the first 3 years, bridging it. And I've even looking back, I'm just telling you my own journey, and this is why it's so much more just to not think I want to do this for the money. It's got to be a passion. It's got to be driven, a conviction that you have to make success. As I look back, and you wouldn't even see that I had a successful business until I was probably in year 12. So we've already blown up the premise that the best path to building $1 million in 10 years, I'm not so sure that a lot of businesses show that in year 10. I think it's probably you get the exponential dividends of success probably in years 12 and beyond.
And then even the idea of starting a business takes time and planning. At least the successful ones take time and planning. Scaling isn't as easy as, okay, I'm gonna sell a $5,000 product 200 times. You actually have to go design and build and come up with a $5,000 product. And then you have to figure out, how do I create that? How do I manufacture that? How do I provide that service in a cost-effective manner? And then how do I do that over and over and over again? Having an idea is one thing, but being able to actually turn that idea into a reality that you can market and go out and put out in the economic environment is a totally different thing.
Now, I feel like we've thrown enough cold water. Let's actually tell people how to do this right, because we would be hypocrites if we didn't tell you all this negative stuff, but then tell you it's also awesome because you build something yourself, and then when you get to the graduation point, what I love is all the employees we have. I love how many babies come out of our employees growing, the houses they buy, the cars. It can be awesome. But here's the first thing you need to do if you want to start a business. Put on your 3D glasses. A lot of people daydream, meaning they put together the plan of the dream plan that they're going to be rich by doing this, hence the show, it being here, you're going to make $1 million in the first 10 years. That's your dream. The reality is you're going to have the down-to-earth plan. This is what you think is going to happen. So create that business plan, create the spreadsheet that actually shows this is what you think is going to happen with some good stuff happening, but also some negatives. And do not, I repeat, do not skip the do-do plan. This is the plan that when everything goes the opposite of what you're hoping, because what I want you to do is be able to address that on paper versus in reality. So you got to do a little preparation.
Another thing to do when you start a business is come up with your minimum viable product, your minimum viable service, and actually test it out. Make sure that this idea you have is something that the world actually wants to buy and actually wants to consume for you. I see so often someone will come with this amazing idea, and they've got the idea, and before they sell the first product, or before they provide the first service, they go build the slogan, and they work on the logo, and they build the website, and they do all this other stuff before they've actually tested to see if it is a true, real, viable business. You want to make sure that this thing has some staying power before you dump a lot of resources into the stuff that doesn't matter a ton at the beginning.
And then I've mentioned this, but it's worth an echo for sure, is have the savings set aside. If it's going to take you 3 to 5 years to get back to where you started, know that on the front end so you can actually fill in that chasm of money with cash savings so that you give your business that much better of an opportunity of being successful.
And then make sure that you do have some larger purpose. Make sure there's a why behind the reason that you're doing this, because it's often not going to be good. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. You want to have that purpose drive behind you to keep you on that path when everything's not all rainbows and butterflies.
Oh, I love that we've set this up. We've had some good and we've had some bad. Like chasing the hot dot, I think that's bad.
Not bad.
But real estate, entrepreneurship, there's a lot of good. It's just risky. You know, so that's why hopefully we laid that out.